Hello there, this is DBT, and these are the rooms. And alright, it's time to continue playing some Asphalt 9. Or I would say that if it was actually working. Oh yeah, by the time I'm recording this, there has been some very considerable outage in regards to Asphalt and Gameloft servers. I don't know what's happening, but by the time I'm recording this outage has been happening or has been, going on for the past 6.5 hours. The game has been completely down for 6.5 hours now. That is indeed a little bit worrisome, not because obviously I'm not saying that the game is not coming back, but because it kind of shows a little bit the weakness of a game that is so reliant on online connection 100% of the time. Now, you have heard me, maybe, talk about how much I prefer the Switch version of Asphalt 9 compared to any other version of the game. You might be wondering why. Well, this is the perfect opportunity. Let me show you why that is. It's because we have this thing over here. Offline mode. Oh yeah, regardless of the fact that this outage is affecting every single platform, be it iOS, Xbox, Android, even the Switch version is affected. The Switch version is the only version of the game that has an offline mode, and if we go into it, you will see what that is about. Obviously, you see that the UI is a little bit different. Everything is blocked because all of these other grayed out things require a connection. The shop, special events, daily events, multiplayer, club stuff, and career. All of that requires a connection. However, like I was saying, this version of the game has the offline mode in which you can play quick race, which is you against the AI, or you can play split screen with somebody else IRL so that, they grab the other controller and you can play and all of that stuff. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that this is the best version of the game, because it does have some performance issues and all of that, but to be completely honest, I'd rather live with some performance issues, but know that if someday the Asphaltcalypse happens and the game dies, it's gonna die at some point, obviously. When that happens, I can still play this game. I can still play the Switch version of this game, while the normal versions for all the other platforms you can't. And this is why I'm so against always online games. So let's explore a little bit of quick race over here, and then we will talk a bit more about my thoughts on all of that stuff on the offline versus online. Quick race, in case you're not familiar with it, it's basically a separate sort of career mode in which they give you a bunch of races to do. You can see over here I have done up to race 52. And it allows you to use any car that you already own. Now, it's worth mentioning that in this mode, you're gonna make any progress in regards to upgrading cars and none of that. This is completely dependent on the cars that you have already unlocked in the normal online mode. So it's not like you can just start from zero and just have a ton of fun with this, because honestly, you're only gonna have your Mitsubishi Lancer Evo. But for example, right now that I already have some good garage, I can actually enjoy my garage without any problems about not having internet and without having to worry about fuel limitation. That's right, this mode does not have any fuel limitations. You can see over here that I've done this race already a few times with my CN, and I'm gonna do it again because I need to win and collect 14 nitro bottles. So let's try that. So yeah, indeed, you cannot get any blueprints or anything, but whatever car that you own, you actually get to play with it. For example, over here, my CN, look at this beauty. Now, normally I would be worried because I would only have 3 fuel points over here, but not this time. Because of this and some other advantages of the Switch version, that is why I basically switched my focus, no pun intended. I switched my focus from the Android version, which I had been playing for like a year or so. By the time I learned about the Switch version, I changed my focus into this because I learned about all of these advantages that this version of the game has, including an offline mode, being able to play with whatever in whatever track that you want, so long as it's available, and with the cars that you already own. No fuel limitations. Come on, that means that I can play with this car more than 3 times. Isn't that beautiful? Oh yes, it is. So as I was saying, this is the fact that this outage is happening right now. And by the way, did I mention that this is happening not only in Asphalt 9, but Asphalt 8 has also been affected. Asphalt 8 is also down. So this is kind of why I wanted to make this video today, even though I had a different video planned. Because this shows what is going to happen once the service, the live service that this game is, goes down. Because, again, in the global version, whatever... Oh, Jesus, I meant to pick that nitro bottle. Whatever platform you're playing, once Asphalt 9 dies, you know, once the service is stopped, once Gameloft is no longer making enough money, or whatever is the reason why they would kill this project, that's it. You're going to play it again, ever again. Because the servers are down, and that's all you got. You depended 100% on the server. However, this version does not. This version has its own local component. And yeah, sure, if the game was to just shut down today, let's say that this outage is too bad and the game doesn't come back to life. I only picked 10 bottles. All right, I'm gonna have to try that at some of the points. Let's say that the game doesn't come back to life after this because, I don't know, something happened and they can't bring the game back online. Well, yeah, I wouldn't be able to get any of the other cars that I haven't unlocked or anything, but at least I would still preserve this game as is, and I will still be able to play it. And honestly, to me, that is incredibly important, more and more in this world where the games, in this video game world, where you're basically now pretty much renting games. You know, you have a license to use the game, but you don't own the game. How many games are not fully online now where the internet dies and that is it? That's it, you cannot play it. But more worrisome is if the service itself dies, in which case, that's it. No matter what, you cannot play that game again. And that is why I consider that game preservation is important, and why I always wanted to focus more on the Switch version, because I knew that at some point, this will, you know, this service will stop. It's a guarantee. I mean, if we are lucky, like the Asphalt 8 case, where the game has been running for 9 years and still going strong, well, I mean, we get to enjoy it for a long time. But if not, we still have a way to play it, even if it's just against the unchallenging AI. But hey, it does have the co-op, I mean, not co-op, excuse me, the split screen mode. So isn't that absolutely insane, the fact that you could still play at least with someone nearby? I mean, to me, that makes such a big difference in why this version to me was the best version. Like I said, yeah, it does have some performance issues. I'm not gonna pretend that it doesn't. It gets laggy, and you know, especially when you're playing in split screen with two players, it's already kind of laggy. Play with more than that, and probably it's gonna be a slideshow. But still, that is something compared to the nothing that you will preserve from the other versions of the game. So yeah, that's why I wanted to take this opportunity. Like I said, I already had some other videos recorded that one of them was going to be published today, and it was about Asphalt 9 anyway. But you know, I thought that this was so topical right now that it's a perfect show as to why it is important for me for a game to have an offline component, because you don't know when the game is gonna just stop functioning or the servers are gonna die. So for that, you still want to have an opportunity to at least enjoy your vehicles a little bit. And this kind of brings me to something I know. Well, I mean, I know that some of you guys that watch this Asphalt 9 videos also play Asphalt 8. And you might know that in Asphalt 8 there was this Q&A section with the devs, and somebody was asking like, hey, are you gonna make the game fully online to prevent cheaters? I was so annoyed by that question, because that was asking, hey, can you make this game no longer playable offline, because I guess that's gonna stop cheaters? Number one, the fact that a game is always online doesn't have anything to do with cheaters. Cheaters are gonna always be there anyway. But to me, it is more important than preventing the cheaters. It is more important to have the game and be able to preserve it for whenever the servers die. And Asphalt 8 fortunately has always been like that. It does have a full offline component, and that makes me happy, because again, once that game also ends up dying, well, guess what? We will still be able to play it, only against the unchallenging AI, but hey, you will still be able to do it, and that to me is incredibly valuable. So there we go, I got all of the objectives in one single race. That's why I wasn't going super fast, because I needed to do the shockwaves and the 360s, but there we go. I love doing this all at once. You get no rewards for finishing these races, all the objectives. You just get the benefit of feeling like you did it. Some of these some of these races are locked behind a certain amount of cups. You can see at the bottom left, it says 181 of 225. So some races is like, oh, you need to have 150 before you can do this race. Oh, you need 160 before you can do these races. So yeah, that's the only sort of block there is. And that actually also blocks over here in custom race. And by the way, I hope this was fixed. I'm trying to go to the left on custom race, but because of how the UI works, when we're fully offline, we don't have the buttons at the top, which I normally use as a little bit of a shortcut to get to custom race. Over here, because the buttons are not there, you saw that I have to scroll all the way to get here. But anyway, you get into custom race, and yeah, you can select whatever track you want. Now, I wish they had added every single variant of each one of these, because Rome, there's more than, well, these are a few, right? But I'll give you a more simple example. There was, which one was it that only had like 3 or so? Well, I don't know how many versions of each track. Oh, I know, Nevada. Nevada has more than 3 versions of it, but over here they only give you 3. They give you 2 of 90 seconds and 1 of 120. But I wish they also allowed you to play with the 30-second ones and so on. But hey, at least we have it. And in fact, it was very recently that they added, in the last patch, they added Nevada, Oakland, and Buenos Aires in here on the quick race. It wasn't there, even though these 2 tracks have been there for months, and this is the newest one. They were not added, so you couldn't play with those. But even then, even if these tracks weren't there, I would still have all of these other tracks to still have my fun with. So for example, let's go into Oakland, because I really enjoy Oakland. You can select the difficulty of the AI. I always go with hard, which is still not all that difficult. I go with 5 opponents so that there's not as many on the screen and it performs a little less terrible. And I'm going to do 3 laps just to chill while we talk about the importance of game preservation. Like I said, you can pick any car that you want. Now, I don't think, yeah, you cannot change the color. Obviously, you cannot upgrade it. Because you see there's no information about the credits or anything like that I have, because all of that requires internet connection. But basically the game, it's frozen in an offline state as to where the game was once I went offline, and that is why I have the cars as I have them and all of that. So how about we do a race with, you know what, my cars that I never really get to use, because I like them and they're kind of cool. I could use my Cyan. I could use the Yes. Oh no, you know what I want to use? I like this. Where is it? It's class A. It's a car that I recently unlocked. I only unlocked it. I'm never gonna be able to upgrade it much. But hey, I have my Mola, so let's use my Mola. I love it with this livery. So maybe if you're hyper competitive and you want to race against other people and have a crazy challenge like that, yeah, this might be a little bit boring, because like I said, the AI, once you get to a certain level of gameplay of your skill in this game, the AI is not challenging at all. So if you're looking for a challenge in that sense, you're probably not gonna find it here. Like I said, especially once you reach a certain level of your gameplay in the game. But if you're like me, that can just enjoy driving around the track because I like looking at it, I like looking at the car, I like listening to the car, I like all of that, then I can absolutely have my fun playing this, even if, you know, we're already only 50% into the race, but I'm in first place and it's very unlikely that I'm gonna drop it. But still, I get to enjoy it, I get to drive around, I get to see the oh, hello! Is that a Tri-Nemesis? But he just left the track, okay. But to be fair, I am driving a a 1-star car, and it's probably racing against other higher star cars. Maybe around the same rank, but higher star, so maybe that's why they could get a little bit challenging. But overall, yeah, it's not like you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is so incredibly challenging. I wish this mode had a way for you to select the rank of your enemies, because right now the game basically tries to match your rank, or rather, it tries to match the rank of the enemies to yours. So if I'm driving a car at a rank of 3,000, then it's gonna give me other cars, maybe not on the same class, but around the same rank. So while that in theory sounds fair, that's what kind of makes it easier. But I wish they would give you the option to select like, hey, I want to race against rank 3,500. So all my opponents are going to be that, while I am using a rank of 3,000. Then you will start getting a little bit more of a challenge, and that could actually be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, you cannot do that, so that's kind of terrible, but hey. Like I said, at least you get something at all. And while some of you guys, depending what time you watch it, but some of you guys might be thinking, damn, I wish I could be playing Asphalt 9. Well, if you were on the Switch, you would be able to. Now, I'm not trying to persuade people to switch, to change. I swear, I'm not doing it as a pun. It just happens. I'm not trying to convince anybody to switch to the Switch version, to the Nintendo Switch version. But you know, I just think it's really important to see how an offline mode is so useful. It baffles me that Gameloft to begin with has never wanted to add a quick race mode. And it baffles me even more that people don't want to push for a quick race mode. I know that some people post or write that in the what's it called? In the what's it called when they send a lot of questions? Questionnaire? No. Poll. No, it's not a poll. What is it? Survey. There we go. I know that some people do say on the survey, hey, we want an offline mode, or rather we want a quick race mode. I think those two things should be tied hand in hand, just like it is here on the Switch, so that quick race could be played offline. And I think, you know, some people ask for it, but I wish more people would. I know that I do every single time. And I know that some people have been asking it for it because Gameloft, at least a long time ago, a couple years ago, they actually addressed it by saying, like, you know, in one of the Q&As, they did say like, yeah, well, I know some people want this, but it's not planned right now. Well, it would be so much better if we could all push for it. I know, like I said, it may not be the most challenging thing ever, but at least you get to play the game that you invested a lot of money or a lot of time, or maybe both. Because like I said, I'm not thinking about just now once we have an outage in the server or when you have a local outage and you don't have internet connection. I'm thinking it for the longer run, once the game just completely dies. That's what I'm looking at. And that is why I'm a little concerned about Asphalt 9 and the fact that all of the other platforms are completely online, and whenever this happens, well, that's it. The Asphaltcalypse is going to happen. You're no longer going to be able to play your game, in spite of the fact that you invested so much time into unlocking your cars, upgrading them, and all of that stuff. And like I was saying, the argument in Asphalt 8, when the question was asked that, hey, can you make the game always online so that there's no cheaters? That makes no sense. Nintendo Switch has no cheaters, but I mean, the idea is that, yeah, if it's always online, the game can always make checks and make sure that, you know, people aren't cheating. Even then, how many cheaters? You've seen a lot of cheaters in the global version, in whatever platform, perhaps with the exception of Xbox and Switch. And why is that? That's because those are walled gardens. I mean, I don't know if there are also cheaters in iOS, but I'm pretty sure, I would think that there are, but I really don't know. But yeah, in the walled garden type of systems, like the Nintendo Switch, where you can really edit a whole lot of anything, well, yeah, it's extremely hard to cheat in here. But that is not a function of it being always online, because as you can see clearly, the game is not always online. Yeah, sure, a lot of it depends on being 100% online, but that doesn't take away the fact that the game can have an offline component. And that is why that question in Asphalt 8 bothered me so much. I know that I'm going a little bit off topic since we're talking about Asphalt 9 over here, but I think both games are so intrinsically related that it kind of makes sense for me to talk about this whole thing, because, man, like I said, this is an outage not exclusive to Asphalt 9. Asphalt 8 is suffering the same. But guess what? In Asphalt 8, well, you don't have access to a lot of things because of the outage. You can still play offline against the AI. You can play time trials. You can play a bunch of things with the cars that you already have. Again, much like in here, it's not like you can make any progress in the game in unlocking cars or anything, but you can still play it. And that is what matters so much to me. The fact that you can play it even if you have no internet, if you're in a subway, if you're in an airplane, if you went into the woods for a week, or simply if the servers stopped their service, if the game dies. So yeah, I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk about it, show you a little bit of the offline mode, the fact that you can do it, and the fact that not having something like this in the global version, it's so incredibly limiting. So hey, if you want to take my side on this, just make sure to push for having some sort of quick race and offline mode in the surveys that Gameloft puts out, because, you know, the more people ask for it, the more that Gameloft will perhaps consider it. I mean, in the end, it's very much a question in the air if they would ever add it, but we can only hope, and we can only continue pushing, hoping that that'll happen. Because yeah, I mean, we deserve that, right? Like I said, a lot of people have spent a lot of money in this game, And if not, at least I can guarantee you that if you made progress in this game, you have at least spent a lot of time with the game. And keep in mind that all of that will go to the waste bin once the servers die. So, yeah. I don't know. What can I say? I am an old school gamer in that sense. From back in the days when console games meant that you had a cartridge and the game was yours. And so long as you had the console and you had the cartridge, you could play it no matter what. You had paid already for the game. It didn't matter if it was 20 years later, like with my Super Nintendo. I can still play my Super Nintendo games, even though they're not sold anymore. Even though that whole thing has been discontinued, it's still functional. I can still play. Don't you wish it was like that for more games? Nowadays, the online dependency has just made us not own our games anymore. But there you have it. That was a little bit of the quick race mode in Asphalt 9 on Nintendo Switch. Again, let's hope that the servers come back alive soon. Because, I mean, I still have a car hunt to do. I still have to finish the Grand Prix for the SCG 007 over here. I'm also doing the Grand Prix in the global version for the Ares S1, I think it's called. So there's some stuff that I still want to do. But hey, like I said, I can play this thing at least offline. So that's something. Anyway, if you enjoyed this 20-minute rant, please hit the like button. And also check these other videos that YouTube believes that you will be interested in watching. This is about Asphalt 8. This one is about Asphalt 9, so check them out. But that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Bye-bye.